guys, it's Kat. So today I have a process video to share with you. I'm going to scrapbook these photos of my son Justin. This is him when he was little. That's him when he was a teenager. You can see the attitude on his face. And that's him, he was still a teenager when he was starting to get into trouble and he had dreadlocks and he was just going through a phase. And this was him probably on his 20th birthday or something. He's a couple years older than this now, but he won't let me take his picture right now. So I'm going to go ahead and scrapbook these photos. And I'm going to kind of do it like this. Let me zoom out so you can see. Like a collage. And I'm going to use my Noel Mignon kit for March. And I'm just going to go through here and find some papers and some embellishments and start playing around. So I'll put you on fast forward. Thanks for watching. Hi guys, just popping in here. I forgot to mention that this layout is part of a challenge by Victoria Marie. She has a Facebook group. It's called Victoria Marie. And I'll leave a link to it in the description box in case you're interested in joining. But the challenge was to do kind of like, it's called seeing double. Two Peas in a Bucket used to do it, where you take supplies and you make a scrapbook page, and then using the same supplies or the scraps left over, you make a card or another project with the same stuff. So that's what this is. First I'm going to do the layout, and then I'm going to do a card using the same supplies. Okay, so I just wanted to pop in and let you know that, and then I'll get back to the video. Okay, so my kit's not going to work because it's a little too feminine. So I'm going to go through my stash and see what kind of papers I have and embellishments and stuff that I can use for this, and I will be back. Okay, so I found this collection that I just purchased not too long ago called Boy Oh Boy, and it's by Carta Bella. And I'm not going to use the embellishments that go with it because they're kind of kiddish, you know, if kiddish is a word. But I think that there are some papers in here that I might be able to use. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up and start going through this. And I'm going to make some handmade embellishments so that I have something to go along with the papers when I scrapbook this. So I will go ahead and make my embellishments and then I will be back. Okay, so I'm back. I cut some things with my dies, some tags and a couple of little rosettes and some chevron borders, just a couple of die cuts and some punches. And I am going to go ahead and get started. Okay, so finally, we're going to start working on the layout, and I am using the Boy Oh Boy collection by Carta Bella. And one of the things that I really like about the Carta Bella paper is that it's really thick and it's textured, so it's really nice to work with. So I've decided that I'm going to lay my pictures out so that they're a little bit askew. I don't want them to be straight. I want them to kind of look like they've just been thrown on the page. And to make everything a little more cohesive, I'm going to distress the edges with black soot distress ink. And I'm going to do that to everything that I add to this page. So I decided that I need something at the top and the bottom of that yellow polka dot just to transition it into the black paper and also to give it kind of a break. So I've decided to cut two border strips out of the arrow paper. And I'm going to put one at the top and one at the bottom. And I'm going to have like two little layers of arrows pointing out of both the top and the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere that down. And I was just trying to make sure that I get it on there straight. So I glued down the top layer first, and then I'm kind of tucking the borders underneath the polka dot paper. There we go. Excuse me. Okay, so now I'm going to lay my photos out. And I actually laid them out in the wrong order, and my son noticed this after I finished. Oh, I'm out of tape, so I'm going to refill it real quick. But after I finished this layout, my son said, aren't these pictures in the wrong order? And I noticed that I did put them down in the wrong order, but luckily with the Tombow stamp runner and the textured paper, it just came right up, so I was able to fix the order of the pictures later on. But throughout the video, you're going to see them in the wrong order. And the photos later at the end of the video, you'll see that I fixed it. So I added the tape, the refill to my tape gun, or my little tape roller, and now I'm just sticking all my photos down. And I thought that picture, that big picture, was Justin, like when he turned 20 or something, but he said he was really young there, and he can tell by the size of the gauges in his ears. That's how he can tell how old he is in pictures. And so he said he was about 17 or 18 in that picture. And I thought he was like in his 20s, so I don't know. But he knows, because he knows, you know, he knows what size his ears were at each age. So I've got these stickers that are chipboard, and they're gray with a black pattern on top of them. And I'm going to use those for the word Justin, and that's going to be the first part of my title. And then I've got some black mini market stickers by October Afternoon, and I'm going to use those for the second part of my title. But first, I have to add adhesive to the thickers because they're old and they have lost their stick. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that real quick. And then I will spell out the second part of the title, which is Through the Years. So the title is Justin Through the Years. And I really like these kind of layouts where you show somebody, you know, as they grow up or as they've changed throughout the years. I think that's really neat to see. Especially when he gets older and looks back. So I'm kind of using my hand as a temporary holding place for these little stickers, and I'm also using it so I can, in my mind, so I can space out how much space so so I can tell how much space I need to leave underneath the word Justin. So now I'm just going to go ahead and spell out the second part of the title, and then my title's done. And now I can start embellishing. And I don't do a whole lot of embellishing, but I did do a little bit. This is a sticker that says number 1, and I'm just going to put it up on some foam dots, and then I'm going to spell out the word sun to go underneath it so that it says number 1 sun. And then I have a couple little banners. There's this is a chevron arrow border, and I used a New Technique Tuesday die that I just got to cut that out. And then I also used my We Are Memory Keepers index tab punch, and I punched out this little index tab, and I'm going to put that up there. And I'm just trying to bring red into 3 different places into this layout. There's red in his shirt in one of the photos, and I used that red arrow border at the bottom, and then I've got to add red to the top and then to the other side where I'm going to put another little bit of a cluster, and you'll see that in a minute. So I used my starburst punch to punch out a little starburst, and I'm going to put that down there by number 1 sun, and then I'm looking for a flare button that I can put on top of it, and I found one that says just saying, so that the little cluster down there says number 1 sun just saying, which I think is kind of cute. That's how I store my flare buttons in those little coin pages. It works really well. So I'm using some hot glue to glue down my flare button because the little foam tab lost its sticky. And I have a new glue gun. I'm not real sure if I like it or not yet because it has a big end to it, and I'm not used to that. I'm used to the little fine tip. Okay, so I have a little fishtail banner tab that I cut out with a die from My Favorite Things, and I'm using that to bring red up into the other side where that cluster, that little baby cluster is going to be. And then I'm putting a flare button on top of it that says love this, and that does 2 things. It brings the red up there, and then it also gives the flare button something to sit on. So now I've done all the embellishing that I'm going to do except for the enamel dots. I'm going to add some black enamel dots, just sprinkling them around the page in those 3 places. And then I'm going to go through and find some red enamel dots, and I'm going to put a couple of red ones down as well. And then this page will be done. And then we'll move on to the card. So I'll show you a close-up in just a minute and then some photos. And then after the photos, I will start the card in the same video. So hang on. Okay, so welcome to part 2 of this video. Now we're going to start working on our card, or I'm going to start working on my card. I don't know why we always say that. Everybody says that in their videos, like now we're going to do this, because it's really me doing this. But anyway, I'm taking the scraps that are left over, and I just cut a card base, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and it's a top folding card, and I squared it at 5 1/2. And I'm thinking in my first thoughts are to use a tag on the front of this card, but that's not really how it's going to go. And I was trying to find a big enough scrap of that yellow polka dot paper to use on the front of the card, but all I have left was this strip, and that wasn't enough for what I was thinking about doing. So I'm just going to play around for a few minutes trying to come up with an idea. And this is what I do when I make a card. I don't usually have an idea up front, and I just kind of take my papers and play around with them until I come up with something. And then sooner or later something will click and I'll like it. So I've decided to use this paper right here as my layer, or background, whatever you want to call it. And I'm distressing the edges with the black soot distress ink. And then I'm going to use that yellow strip with the polka dots as a border. And I've got a little rosette that I made, and I'm going to use that as well. I'm going to put that on the right side of the border. And I've decided that I'm going to make this a birthday card. So it's a birthday card for a boy. Which is good because, you know, theirs aren't as easy to make as normally. I think cards are easier to make for girls than for boys. So I've got another one of those little fishtail banner flag things that I cut with that die. And I'm going to put that up at the top left corner. And I'm hot gluing down my little rosette. And then I'm going to get my stamp out, and the stamp is from Hero Arts, and I think it's called Birthday Wishes. And it's a really neat stamp set. It has like, it has a bunch of different it's all birthday sentiments in the set. So I'm using a piece of this paper, which is, what is that paper called? It's from My Favorite Things, and I think it's called Whipped Cream, yeah. And it's like an off-white color. And I'm just checking the color of my red ink to make sure that it's dark enough, because the paper that I'm using is a really dark red, and it wasn't. So I've decided to use my Avery L ink, which is a little bit darker. And it didn't stamp well, so I flipped it over, and I'm going to stamp it again. And that time it stamped really well. I need to re-ink those. They don't come very, very inky. So I'm just cutting it down to a little strip, and then I'm going to distress the edges and then glue that onto my card, and then that is going to be my finished card. So that was quick and easy, and it matches the layout. So that's my entry into the Seeing Double Challenge by Victoria Marie, and again, I will leave a link in the description box. So thanks for watching, guys. I will see you soon. Bye.